Okay, so here we go. So welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy evening to learn something about passion and about purpose. My name is Dan Stillman, and I am the founder of Yomenga.com, holisticwellcareadvisors.com, and also have my own personal coaching business. And I am the host of the meetup group that is under the Holistic Wellcare Advisors banner. So thank you for joining tonight. With that, I'm going to share my screen and we will kick this shindig off. So, there we go. So, Brona, can I ask you if you could unmute yourself to let me know if you could see this?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. All right, so I'm going to mute you back and then we are going to start this slideshow from the beginning. And we are going to be off and running. Okay. So I like to always have a disclaimer. I think it's important to have this to let you know that, if you have any type of trauma or I always mention trauma because it's really hard to deal with life if you have some type of PTSD or some trauma that is causing you to have a lot of emotional pain and physical pain. And I just like to tell people that if you do have those issues, it's important to seek, medical advice, either from a regular doctor or a psychologist or a therapist. And I just want to acknowledge that my positive psychology, transformational mindset, and integrative nutrition certifications is in no way to be construed or substituted as psychological counseling or any type of therapy or medical advice. My comments about the material are backed by scientific evidence, life experience, and expressions of my opinion. Each participant's results depend upon his or her unique learning ability, motivation, commitment, and other factors. When you participate in these virtual personal development events, you fully agree that there are no guarantees as far as specific outcomes or results you can expect from using the information you receive on or through this event. Okay. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you could always put that use the Q&A button again, or you could contact me via my website, holisticwellcare.coach, or you could contact me right through Meetup. Okay. So purpose, that's what you're here for. You signed up to find out what is this purpose thing all about. Okay. And what is purpose? Let's just start off with that question. What is purpose? Purpose is an overall sense of goals and direction in life and leads to the productive engagement with some aspect of the world beyond the self. So really, it's an action word, okay? To find our purpose, it takes action. And to do that, we always have to put the word to in the beginning before each word. So some people, they like to create. Some people, they like to teach. Some people like to invent. Some people to heal, to inspire. And whatever word that you feel is, part of the reason why you were put on this earth, that's something that that is a to statement for you. Okay. So for me, I know my purpose is to do the things that I'm doing right now. Didn't realize what I really want to do. I'm in IT. I've been doing IT for over 30 years. And when I was 48, I lost my job after 11 years. And I said, what's my purpose in life? That was back in 2018. And I realized when I look back at my life, there were certain things that happened, and maybe you could use some, look back at your life and see certain situations that had happened throughout your life that's kind of led you to where you are today. And that's kind of how it happened for me. I realized that some of the trauma and some of the adversity that I faced growing up as a teenager, as a child, and a young adult, the things that I worked on to overcome those things through introspective work, those, I'd say, weaknesses really became my greatest strengths. So now I'm here to inspire and to help heal and to teach people how to live a flourishing life, because I've done a lot of work on myself and I know that it works. And if I could do it, I know other people can too. So let's proceed here. So there's two different terms that you might be familiar with, or you might not be familiar with. So there's two types of well-being. There's hedonic and eudaimonic well-being. Now, most of us really strive there. We do both of these, but most of us are really familiar with more of the hedonic well-being, because it refers to the sort of pleasure or happiness that we derive from doing what we like or avoid doing what we don't like. And the most common examples of hedonic pleasure are sex and food, right? As far as eudaimonic well-being, that's more personalized, subjective experiences associated with living a life of virtue in pursuit of human excellence, self-actualization, personal expressiveness, and vitality. So most people really, I wouldn't say that most people, I don't know the percentage of it, because really this is personalized. The fact that you're here on this call and want to learn some of these concepts shows that you are living a eudaimonic well-being, because you want to learn things. You want to become an educated and more and learn concepts that will introduce you to your higher self that you really never knew existed. And that's kind of how it was for me as well, is to learn these different things in order to grow in this. If you want to say that everybody has their own opinion of why we're here on this earth, I kind of look at it as like it's one big school that goes from kindergarten to high school, and many of us, we're all at different levels, right? I'm trying to graduate high school, but I mean, before I learned these concepts, I was probably living in a 6th grade education. So, this is the reason why we want to really try and grow and become better people. And in turn, the things that we learn, we could help other people. And maybe also we want to raise our kids in a great environment and teach them the right things and not be influenced by society's so-called stereotypical ways of thinking that I know I got caught up in when I was young, that in my 20s, that you have to, get married, you have to have children, what career you want to go, where do you want to live? All these things are kind of taught to us. And I think the earlier that we learn some of these concepts and tools and teach our kids these things, by the time they're 30, they'll have this tool chest where, when you do turn 30, I believe that's your most important decision-making years, based on some of the things that I said that you're going to be making decisions on. And, hopefully by that time, you won't have some of the self-centered fear. Either you're afraid you're going to lose what you have, or you're afraid you're not going to get what you want or need, or you won't have some unrealistic expectations, or you won't have the perfectionism that kind of limits us, right, from being our best selves. So we really obviously want to live both states of well-being, but really we want to focus on what is our true purpose, and the eudaimonic well-being is what we're striving for. Okay, so sources of purpose. So you have to explore your passions, right? Your passions and interests are a good indicator of the area in which your life purpose might lie, but they can be hard to identify. They're so ingrained in our ways of thinking that we can become blind to them. If you're not sure what your passions are, ask the people who know you best, right? And some ways that you could find those some sources of purposes to do volunteer work, spirituality, work, maybe education could be added to this list, right? So it's important to, seek out and ask, like, what am I good at? What are my strengths that make me unique, that separate me from someone else, right? Because there is a purpose why you're here, and we just have to need some coaching and some guidance in finding out what that is. Okay. So discerning your purpose, most will look to receive the answer from an outside source, right? And that's okay. Do what makes you happy, the rest will follow. Like some of these are some questions and some points to ponder to finding your purpose, right? For some, it's inspiring, for others, and for others, it's confusing. Um, without purpose, people often feel lost, stuck, depressed, and anxious. And, why is purpose so powerful? It's the why, right? We're all trying to find the why. Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Am I happy, doing what I'm doing? What is preventing me from really going for what I truly want to do with my life, right? A lot of that has to do with fear of the unknown. There's other concepts that I don't go into here, but through my course, Get Real, Deal, and Heal, we talk about growth versus fixed mindset. Just imagine what the world would be like and what we could, if we are able to replace fear of the unknown, which is a man-made concept, with curiosity, right? Replace that, get rid of a fixed mindset to think that, okay, this is just how I'm wired. I can't get any better. This is who I am. And like, somebody who thinks in a fixed mindset is kind of stuck, right? And if you could visualize a rock is just a rock. But if you visualize someone like a let's say clay, for instance, can be molded into many different things. So that's how I associate a growth mindset with some clay, because you're constantly learning. And most importantly, if you do try different things and they don't turn out the way that you wanted it to, and you may say, okay, I failed at this. The only thing that you're doing really, and what you should be doing, is when you truly love yourself and you're finding your purpose, is that you're labeling the task as failed. You're not labeling yourself as a failure. That's a huge difference between having a growth and a fixed mindset. Okay. So finding your purpose, there's different things involved in that: passions, skills, and values. So what you love, what are your passions? Like maybe you could write down a list after this meeting and say, what do I love? What really, makes me feel, lights me up inside? What do you do? Like, what are your skills, right? What skills do you have that make you unique? Like we talked about before, your strengths, how you shine, what what you bring to the world every day. What are your strengths and your experiences, your wisdom? What have you learned from past experiences that maybe you could use in order to build upon what you're trying to accomplish in life, and also what you could teach and be a mentor? Okay. There is a therapeutic approach to finding out what your purpose is, and it was created through Viktor Frankl. He was the pioneer of this, and it's called logotherapeutic approach. So logotherapy is a therapeutic approach that helps people find personal meaning in life. It's a form of psychotherapy that is focused on the future and on our ability to endure hardship and suffering through a search for purpose. And these are the three principles of the logotherapeutic approach, which, most people probably didn't even know that there's some therapy for this, but now you do. So if you're stuck on trying to find your purpose, you could do some research on this. The three principles are freedom of will, and it asserts that humans are free to decide and can take a stance toward internal and external conditions. There's number 2, which is the will to meaning, states that humans are free to achieve goals and purposes in life. And number 3, meaning in life, based on the idea that meaning is an objective reality rather than merely an illusion or personal perception. Humans have both freedom and responsibility to bring forth their best possible selves by realizing the meaning of the moment in every situation. We do have free will, right? So we do have the ability to do whatever we want. And again, I think it goes back to what prevents us from finding our purpose. Maybe it's a lack of introspective work that we need to do, but also in addition to that, it's the fear. the fear of the unknown. Okay. Some people can experience this too. They could have purpose anxiety, right? You're trying to find your purpose and it could cause anxiety. And that could cause negative ramifications of the struggle for purpose in life. So maybe don't be so hard on yourself, right? We have to practice like self-compassion, self-care when we're doing this. Most people crave a sense of purpose in life, but nearly always encounter purpose anxiety during their search process, no matter the searcher's age. So listen, I told you I was 48 years old. I'm 53 now. And I've been for 5 years, I've been working on the Omega and the Holistic Well Care Advisors, my coaching business to transition from IT into into what I really feel I should be doing, for my life. And it takes time. And along the way, there has been some anxiety for me because you could get discouraged if things aren't moving along faster than as fast as you want them to. It could be hard to get clients. You're spending a lot of money on different applications to get your websites up and running, and you need more money, like investors and venture capitalists, to want to like launch your certain projects, and that could become discouraging. So I'm just sharing with you some of the things that I've experienced while trying to get what I feel is my purpose of launching these various websites and transitioning from something I've been very successful at, which is IT. And I'm very grateful that I like IT, but I like to have something that's going to bring me fulfillment, which is helping other people and being able to contribute to society and also be a good example for my kids. I have 2 boys who are 19 and 16, and we want to be examples for them, right? So we could always have, this anxiety, but it's what I do in my coaching and in my course, Get Real, Deal, and Heal. I teach you how to become your own cognitive-based therapist and how to question your thoughts in real time and how to, learn how self-centered fear, unrealistic expectations, perfectionism plays a role in your life, and give you the antidotes for that, which is gratitude, living in the moment, and loving yourself. Okay. So purpose anxiety significantly hampers well-being, but you have to be able to keep this under control. One of the tools that I use, I actually have it on my phone here, is I have a little thing that says, I'm excitedly trusting that everything is unfolding in perfect timing and order for my highest good, while I continue to practice working with the qualities of patience, compassion, and trust. See, so I have that on my phone that I read every now and then to help keep me grounded and living in the moment and just keep moving forward and not quitting. But if you find yourself being anxious, like the last slide that I had about the logotherapy, you could see somebody and get professional help with that. Okay. Passion. So what is passion? Passion is an inclination toward a self-defining activity that one likes. Most have at least one. They are often formed in adolescence and become self-defining and a part of identity. And your purpose doesn't always align with your passions. If you stop being a painter, you can become lost because you thought it was your purpose, right? So you have to be very careful and understand, what your passions are. And you can become obsessive. There's 2 different types of passion. We're always striving to be harmonious, right? There's harmonious passion, where things are life enhancing and don't interfere with our day-to-day tasks. And we also have obsessive passion, where people could be totally obsessed, and then that causes that anxiety that I was just talking about. An overwhelming desire to participate in the endeavor triggers pressure and anxiety, right? So we really have to learn skills in order to not let those thinking traps cause us to have anxiety, which then cause us to spiral down the rabbit hole because we start making up, we're really good storytellers, and we make up these assumptions that have no validity whatsoever, which causes us to not think rationally based on some belief that we're holding that was formed when we were children, by our parents and by society, that I'm not good enough. What's wrong with me? I did something wrong. Usually those are the big three. And, it's all tied together with this, right? So we have to be able to kind of learn a lot of tools and concepts in order for us to even get to this point to find out what our true purpose and passion is. And depending on how we were raised and what environmental factors influenced us, epigenetics, well, some of us get there quicker than others. Some of us don't. We could see that. I know, unless you knew when you were really young that you wanted to become a doctor, right? And you went to school to become a doctor, you're very lucky that you were able to do that and find out what you wanted to do. So you weren't part of the 80% of people who went to college, right? Got a degree in something that they thought they wanted to do and don't even have a job doing what they went to school for, right? So that's what happens. And, the quicker that we're able to learn certain tools and concepts and maybe introduce this more in the education system for our kids, it'll help us, like, such as maybe more like interest tests or finding out like who you are as an individual, I think is more important than maybe calculus, which you'll never use in your life ever again. So there are some things that we have to take personal responsibility for that our school systems are not going to teach us. So as parents and as adults, we need to learn these concepts so that way we could help our kids. And hopefully, if a lot of us want to become change agents, right? We can make the world a better place. And that's what I really am passionate about. That's my passion, is to try to make the world a better place. Because right now, there's a lot of bad things going on in the world. And unfortunately, it's a little scary. Okay. So here is another concept. It's called ikigai, and it's a reason for being. So what is your reason for being, which consists of a passion, a mission, a profession, and a vocation. So that which you love, that which the world needs, which is what I was talking about a little bit before, that which can be paid for, that which you are good at, right? So if you could find something that will be able to cover all four of those different concepts here, because listen, we have to live. The reality of the situation is that we need to make money in order to have a roof over our head and food to eat. So finding something that you love, that which the world needs, that which you are good at, that which you could get paid for, is the key to really finding out what your reason for being is. So, it's important to realize that you should want to get paid for something that you're really passionate about. And, your self-worth is tied directly to this. You deserve to be able to have some of those luxuries that other people have, right? But doing it in a way that's, contributing to society, not so much just being more so being selfless than selfish. Now, of course, everybody has to put themselves first, because if you don't put yourself first, then you're not going to be good for anyone else. So like for me, when I have conversations with certain people and they'll ask me like, what's your values? Like, what are your priorities? And I'll say, well, my priority is I have to take care of myself first, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and physically. Because if I don't do that, then I'm not going to be good for anyone, obviously, because I'm not taking care of me. Second, my priority is my mission, like my passion, what I want to do in life. And the third priority would be, people in my life, my relationships. And there's a caveat there. There's like an asterisk to that third one, because some people get turned on and be like, oh, you're putting your relationships third. Well, no, I mean, if the first two are met, right? And agreed upon with your partner, then that third one, they're not going to feel like it's a third priority. They're going to feel like the first priority all the time. And you want to be with somebody who is actually going to be able to do the same thing, right? You want to support other people's passions, other people's missions. You want to be happy for them, right? That's what love is all about. But in order to do that, we have to take care of ourselves. If we don't do that, we're not going to be able to find our passion in life. Okay. We're going to be stuck. So curiosity is a huge thing, right? So what I talked about, self-centered fear, either you're afraid you're going to lose what you have, or you're not going to get what you want or need. And you're kind of have fear of the unknown, and fear of the unknown is a concept made up by humans because we've been given this neocortex that likes to create stories. When you look at dogs or you look at animals, they don't have fear of the unknown. They just do whatever they do. They're animals, but we're animals as well. But yet we've been given a higher ability to think, and we've created this fear, right, that holds us back, which obviously is caused by some of the things that I had mentioned earlier, that I teach, as far as your communicate, the way your parents spoke to you, communication style, your attachment theory. A lot of different things come into play here, which, can cause you to have fear of the unknown, have that grow, or have that fixed mindset because of, some of the beliefs that you have, such as I'm not good enough. What's wrong with me? I always fail. Some, maybe when you were being raised as a child, and there was a project you were working on, just to give you an example, and your mom or dad came over to you and said, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. You always do it wrong." Well, slowly but surely, from the ages of 1 to 7, our brain, like children's brains, are like sponges. It's almost as if you're like in a hypnotic state. You develop a belief, "Oh, I'm not good enough," and then it gets stored in your subconscious, and then it becomes a habit. You don't realize that you're living off of that belief, which can cause you to have this fear of the unknown, have low self-esteem, low self-efficacy. A lot of different things influence that. But what we really want to do is strive to be curious, right? So curiosity results in exploration. Exploration results in discovery. Discovery results in pleasure. Pleasure results in repetition. Repetition results in mastery. Mastery results in new skills. New skills results in confidence. Confidence results in self-esteem. Self-esteem results in a sense of security, and a sense of security results in more exploration, right? And when you're at that point of, sense of security, I think you're at the point of where you truly love yourself, where you're not worried about what other people think of you. We have this fear, a lot of us, of what people think about us, which also hinders us from more exploration. But when you truly are able to love yourself, you're at that's when you're really experiencing vulnerability. And in order to find out what you're passionate about and what your purpose is in life, we all have to strive to be vulnerable. When you look in that mirror in the morning, you're looking at yourself in the mirror. What are some of the conversations that you're having, with yourself? Are they fear-based, or are they logical-based things that you should be doing, and you are doing those things every day? Or are you having a conversation with yourself that, like, when a new year comes, we make these resolutions and we say we're going to do these things, right? But then we just don't do them because we say we don't have enough time, or there's lack of money, or we're real good at making excuses, when we know that there's little baby steps, little things that we could do that could keep pushing us forward in order to reach some of the goals that we're trying to achieve. Okay. So here is a life purpose statement. Okay. So this is something that you could use in order to find out what your purpose is. I gave an example here of filling in the blanks, right? So it's like, my purpose is to use, and you plug in a personal quality. It's like Mad Libs, right? and, a couple of personal qualities, expression of the qualities, and the impact on the world or people. So if I was to fill in these blanks, this is what mine would be. My purpose is to use my positive psychology and integrative nutrition knowledge to introduce concepts and information so people could be introduced to the higher selves they never knew existed. So what is your purpose statement, your life purpose statement? What are you striving to do? Okay. I put this in here. I tend to be a little woo-woo. I'm very spiritual, but this is the neuroscience of spiritual belief. If you're not spiritual, or maybe you really don't have to believe in God necessarily to understand this, but there is good science behind this, based on what brain scans and certain things that are being looked at, especially now that we have so much more technology to map out the brain and see how what parts of the brain light up when we have a perception of spirituality and passion. So each part of our brain brain constructs a different perception of God. Spiritual practices, even when stripped of religious beliefs, enhances the neural functioning of the brain in ways that improve physical and emotional health. Intense long-term contemplation of God or other spiritual values appears to permanently change the structure of those parts of the brain that control our moods. Contemplative practice strengthens a specific neurological circuit that generates peacefulness, social awareness, and compassion for others. So spiritual practices, perhaps we're wired to be spiritual, right? So when I was talking earlier about when I first started this, I was talking about how I was looking back at my life and I was seeing like different experiences that I went through kind of shaped, the direction that I was going, that I went in to get to this point of doing these teachings and creating Yomenga for men and holistic well-care advisors and learning all these different things because I'm truly passionate about it. But there is kind of like a spiritual overtone to that because I believe that things, have happened for a reason. Now, everybody has their own belief and their own way of doing things. And that's what you have to contemplate and have to, try and understand by either speaking to someone like a coach, a life coach, if you're passionate about finding what you want to do as far when it pertains to like your relationships, pertains to your career, pertains to where you want to live, your physical health, a bunch of different things, and that's what you have to kind of work around and really do that work, because that's the only way that you're going to get there. And of course, the other part of it too is if you are, like I mentioned earlier, dealing with some type of trauma, okay, that trauma does have to be addressed, because until you address that trauma, it's going to be very difficult to move forward in life because it's always going to be there. And it's very, now, not saying that the scar, like I've experienced some physical abuse as a kid, some other things, abandonment, like there's this little Dan inside of me that sometimes I have to self-soothe. Like we do have some scars, right? But those scars don't dictate our life. There may be things that happen in life that trigger those wounds, and that's where we have to do the work and basically learn these types of concepts that I'm trying to teach, in order to build a tool chest that could allow us to bounce back quickly from adversity. Okay. So I talked about earlier about this course that I created called Get Real, Deal, and Heal. And it's modeled after my own experience and also positive psychology, and a few other things. This course helps you understand emotional triggers and empowers you to unlock your true authentic self. It consists of, it's an online program. You go at your own pace, and there's 74 lessons consisting of positive psychology skills and an option to add one-on-one coaching session after each module. And it all is based on, the positive psychology PERMA V model. So in these different areas of, positivity, engagement, relationships, meaning, achievement, and vitality are all these different concepts that most of us, all of us, I feel, should have learned growing up. And unfortunately, we weren't taught that. So we've had to make some mistakes and learn through life, but why not learn them now and be able to help people, right? If we, again, it's about trying to make the world a better place. So if you have like teenagers or young adults in their 20s, or even now, you want to learn because you're introspective and maybe you're going into a different phase of your life. Maybe you're about to retire and you want to understand, like, okay, what do I do when I retire? Are there some hobbies, some things that I'm passionate about? You never stop learning and you're always building new neural pathways. So it's important to learn some of these concepts. Okay. And this is the course basically in a nutshell. And if you're not going to do the work and you're stuck, if not now, when? Right? So this is basically an opportunity to learn these 7 different modules. In fact, I'm currently writing a book called You're Capable of So Much More, and it's about my life story. And it's also the actual course that I created that is in the book. So it's hopefully that'll be coming out by the end of the year. Just finished the manuscript and now it's in editing. So I'm excited about that. So these are the topics that are the modules that are in the course. Self-centered fear, understand that this fear is about control, unrealistic expectations, perfectionism, and then the antidotes for these. So the antidote for self-centered fear, where either you're afraid you're going to lose what you have or you're not going to get what you want or need, is learning to live in the moment, which is mindfulness. For unrealistic expectations, right? The antidote for that is gratitude. So motivation to give thanks year round. And for perfectionism, because we could tend to be very hard on ourselves and others, the antidote for that is learning to love yourself. Then I've created a transformational toolkit that will help you transform yourself into your higher self. And it usually takes between, if you really do the work, it could take between, science has shown that it takes between 63 and 66 days for behavior change to happen, for new habits to be created, so you could shed some of the old one, the not so beneficial habits that really 40% of our daily activity is kind of run on habit. So, and then there's long game coaching, discuss your questions, review your progress or struggles, and obviously reinforce with deliberate practice. So that is basically it for passion. I want to thank you for listening. This is the actual course. I'm sorry, the website, holisticwellcare.coach. And I love this quote: if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten, right? So why not start doing something in order to make your life better? So with that, I am going to stop sharing and I am going to open this up for questions, comments, and concerns, because this meetup is about asking questions and getting some help if you need it. So I am going to open it up for questions. Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments on the material? I think I could get you to unmute if you want to. D?
Okay. Hi, Dan. How's it going? Thank you
It's
so
going well.
much for the presentation today.
No problem.
The question I had, I apologize if it sounds a bit disorganized. It's a rewind to the conversation you were having with the female participant. I don't know what her name was. She was asking you about the website, one of the websites that belonged to you, and that if you knew people that were practitioners or that were providers that wanted to like get on that website to offer services and work with you and offer, like, I guess, a platform to try to get clients.
Mhm.
I think I got lost about which website it is because I believe that you have like 3 different websites, and I just had no idea which one you and her were referring to.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it. I'm just typing it in right now, and I put it in the chat.
Okay.
So you could copy and paste that, Holistic Wellcare Advisors.
Okay.
Also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, can you see that D now or no?
Oh, sorry, let me see.
It's in the
Yes, I
chat.
see that. Okay.
Okay. Also in the chat, I'm gonna put my personal website. So you could click on that because uh there was a question, how much is the course? And the course is $249. If you go to my website, you'll basically see a tab that says Get Real Deal and Heal, or on top of the website, it's the online course. And it gives you more of a description of what the course consists of. Um, and it shows you the breakdown of the lessons and things of that nature. Um, that's something I could share on the screen if you want me to, but I think you guys could go there yourselves to take a look at that. So I hope that that answers your question. Um,
Okay, so the real deal course is the one that this training that you just gave to us is based on. Everything that you just covered with
mm,
all the PowerPoints. This is what's connected to that course. Am I getting it correct?
yep,
Okay.
everything that I basically cover in when I do these, such as like if I share my screen, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go to let's see, where can I go to? Like you could probably see this Get Real Deal and Heal thing now.
Okay. Yes.
Um, so everything on here, like I'm also gonna like pull up our meetup group so you could see that. Can you see this tab with
Yes.
the meetup? So
Yes.
when I go to uh the main page here, okay. And these events, like what is passion, how do I find that these concepts that I'm talking about come directly from that course, like loving yourself, what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. That, as you can see in there, is a module that is loving yourself. So I'm taking concepts from that. I'm not taking everything, obviously, because I can't do it all in one, but I'm basically talking a lot about different concepts. When it comes to like trauma, I'm taking some things in here and discussing some things from the course on trauma. So this is where, like, this one obviously is a guest speaker who's going to be speaking. Then there's somebody else who's going to be a guest speaker. But I will do like things on perfectionism. I'll do things on unrealistic expectations. But the real meat of everything, like as far as the 74 lessons that are in here, um, there's 12 lessons that you're learning for self-centered fear, 12 lessons for unrealistic expectation, 12 for perfectionism. Like it's a total of 74 altogether. So that's what you're learning basically. And it's all self-paced, self-guided. You go at your own, there's question, it'll explains a little bit to you. And of course, if you're not satisfied, I'll give you your money back. That's not an issue because I don't want somebody to pay for something and not feel like they got value out of it.
Those courses that you just showed us and you said it's self-paced. Are these just like self-paced recordings that we're just like listening to and learning by ourselves, or do they involve like a live component where we're interacting with you specifically as we're learning each module?
So the way that it works is when you log on to the course, um, basically there's recordings that I'm doing that basically, but I provide worksheets. So each module has, like, for self-centered fear, it has like maybe like 5 worksheets. So it'll have one worksheet is always something that you could print out that has like notes that you could take with each particular slide that I'm going through. as you're listening to the recording and you're taking notes on each concept, and you can watch it as many times as you want. And then after each module, I give you homework to do. So there'll be like something that'll teach you about cognitive-based therapy, teach you about thinking traps, a worksheet on how to actually change, like you have to, how to like become your own cognitive-based therapist to find the evidence for, the evidence against some of the thoughts that you're having. So it's deliberate practice. Like it's not just like those modules. Like the first module is like a welcome video. The second one is time versus energy, because I want you to use your time wisely. And I always feel like people say I don't have enough time, but it's really not about time. It's about how you manage your energy, right? And then I have another video that's about deliberate practice, because deliberate practice is different from regular practice. Deliberate practice gives you an accountability partner, which is what I am, to help you. And then it goes into the course, which is self-centered fear, all those modules I just showed you.
Yes.
And then basically what I'm offering, usually my one-on-one coaching is $125 per hour. But what I do is I give you an add-on. So like if you wanted support, if you purchase the course and you want to take it further, after each module, you'll get 7 free calls with me for like an hour to go over anything that's in the video, in the module that you may not understand. So that gives you, an option for that as well.
Okay. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. I really appreciate you, walking us through it and just breaking it down.
Mhm.
It just makes more sense, I think, when I hear you explain it versus like when I look at the website by myself. So thank you for having patience and just explaining it.
Oh, of course. No problem. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I want you guys to understand that, I'm here for you and that I'll explain anything that you really want to know. It's just a question of, asking the question. So I appreciate you always being so diligent in doing that, Dee.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any other questions regarding passion or anything else that I went over or can go over with you? Zach, Brona, Chris?
I had a question about I guess I can go back on the recording to ask about the missions, the passion statement that you did.
Mm-hmm.
That is like,
Yep.
what you call it? I play the game myself. That you fill in and you made the example of it.
Mad Libs.
Yeah, Mad Libs.
Yeah. It's your passion statement. Yes.
Yeah. So I
That's
can go back on the recording and check and look at it and fill in the blanks, because that was I might say that it was very eye-opening in some of the things that you said, and you hit on a lot of things that I know I was going through. Like the thing about anxiety, I have severe anxiety and depression, and I had no idea it was all about my not feeling or reaching my passion.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's, most people struggle with that because they don't know what they want to do with their lives, and they feel kind of stuck. And I think it causes a lot of people anxiety, especially because we're only here for a short time. So we feel like we're running out of time, but we're really not. And I had to have that. I had to sit down with a therapist when I was 22, when I hit bottom and was dealing with all this stuff. And I always said, like, and that's the reason why the name of my book is You're Capable of So Much More, because anytime I felt like I was struggling, I'd always look at myself in the mirror and say, you're capable of so much more. But the one thing caveat that came with that was, I felt like I was running out of time. Like, what is my purpose here? And the therapist sat me down and she took a piece of paper and she says, here you are from 0 to 22. Look at this space, but look how much space you have from 22 to, 70 or 80 if you live that long. Like, you have a lot of space. So don't get yourself so caught up. Just take little micro baby steps And I teach that in my course. In one of the modules it's called SMART goals. And you want to like learn how to do that, like how to set goals for yourself and also celebrate the wins. And, but I could totally understand where people get caught up in the fear, because it's not just, maybe you don't have enough money to do what you want to do. Like I, felt that right now, with me, I'm trying to raise, between my two brands, $800,000 for each to take it to the next phase. Like everything that I've done, I've probably poured about 200 grand into all the things that I've done. And, basically want to make these successful. And, maybe my kids will want to take over this portion or whatever, depending on what their purpose and passion is in life. But yeah, they're again, it could be very, what was the word I used before? It could be, I could get discouraged, and I have to constantly, remind myself, like that prayer I just told you that I'm excitedly trusting that everything is unfolding in perfect timing and order for my highest good, while I continue to practice working with the qualities of patience, compassion, and trust. So even though, I have all these skills and all these things that I learned, I'm still susceptible to having some fear and all these things, depending on how you feel. You could be tired, you could be hungry, you might catch a cold, you don't feel as well, but you have to do the work in order to get yourself back to live in the moment. I'm very fortunate that, I'm at this stage where I don't really have a lot of anxiety anymore, and I wake up grateful for my life. But still, I could still be susceptible to that.
Yeah, that's so true. And as a parent, I lived my life through them, my kids. Everything revolved around them, and sometimes you don't know how to do stuff for yourself. When you mentioned about self-care. And
Yeah,
that's
I mean
important too.
it's tough, because people will say to me, well, you're saying that you're putting yourself first before your kids. And it's like, well, you have to do some type of self-care, something to keep yourself grounded, or you're going to be a horrible parent, because you're going to be anxious
True.
all the time, and you're going to be yelling at them, and you're like, leave me the hell alone. It's like, we want to break the pattern of, and that's what I go on talk about in my course, is the different ways. It's in the loving yourself module, where I teach people about attachment theory and about communication styles. And a lot of it has to do with the way our parents spoke to us when we were kids. Were they aggressive? Were they assertive? Were they passive? Were they passive aggressive to us? Those are the communication styles. And then the attachment theory is, were they secure? Did you grow up in a secure environment? Did you grow up in an anxious environment? Did you grow up in an avoidant environment? Some people are anxious and avoidant, which is the worst. So like, a lot of this plays into, our upbringing plays a lot into this, about the beliefs that we create as a result, because our beliefs, right, have a direct link to our thoughts. Our thoughts are directly related to the feelings that we have. The feelings are directly related to the actions that we take. And then the actions are attached to like the routine. Like we could just get caught up like in the vicious cycle of doing something over and over and over again, without us realizing that it's coming from this one particular belief that we have. And until we learn to be able to learn real-time resilience skills, to learn how to be able to question our thoughts, right, in real time, like say, I just thought about that thought. It's called metacognition. Then, once you're able to do that, your life becomes a lot easier, because then you're forming, new ways, new neural pathways, and can create a new belief that, instead of saying I'm not good enough, it still slowly transforms into I am good enough. I am valued. But you have to do the work. And a lot of people are fearful to take that first step. They might have one foot in the door and one out. But the only way that you're going to live a purposeful life free of anxiety for most of the time, right? Because life is going to throw curveballs at you, but you just, for the most part, you're going to wake up feeling grateful and free because you truly love yourself. You're fully vulnerable. You don't care what other people think, and you create the world that you want to live in, not the world that society says that you should follow, right? So I hope that helps.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Because it's 8:06. Usually I have this open until 9, but I will end it shortly if people don't have any questions, comments, or just want to talk about something. I'm more than happy to do that. I copied and pasted the purpose statement in the chat. So if you wanted to like copy and paste that in a Word document or a notepad, you could get it right from there. Or you could rewatch the video. Usually this video, Zoom does a pretty good job of processing it. It's me transferring it to my Google Drive and them processing it. Usually takes about 24 hours. Once I have that, I will send a email through Meetup to all the participants who signed up for this. There was like 40 something. And I'll also put the link in the chat, and I'll also put it in the comment section of the actual meeting event. Anybody else? All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I want to wish you a wonderful evening. I hope you have pleasant dreams.
You too, Dan. Thank you so much.
And I'll see you next week, because next week we are talking about, let's see, what's next week? Next week I'm doing another one. And it will be on, let's see, what's the one next week? Loving yourself, what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And that one's going to be longer than this one. So you're going to get a lot of good information in that particular meetup for next week. So I hope to see you there. Okay. And if you know anybody who needs it to learn about loving yourself and what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, please, tell them about the meetup group. It's growing. I mean, there's a lot of people who are joining every day. So I'm really excited about that. So let people know, and I'll see you next week. Okay.
Thank you
Dan.
again. Thank
you
All
so
right.
much.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.